And we're back once again, ladies and gentlemen, only on it is Last Call. Last Call with the alcohol, only on the Last Call YouTube channel now. And join me here on the line is man. We'll be back in action once again. It'll be on the Michaela Meyer versus Jennifer Honkart in Costa Mesa, California on April 9th. And well, he's looking forward to getting back in the swing of things, targeting a return to holding some gold around his waist, and while he's determined to do it, I give you once again all the way from Australia, now Las Vegas, Nevada for training. I give you the monster himself. I give you Andrew Moloney. So Andrew, all right. So who are you fighting, and what are you expecting out of this fight coming up on April 9th?
G'day, Chris. Thanks for having me on the show again, mate. Yeah, that's right. Back in action on Saturday, the 9th of April here, fighting in Costa Mesa this time against a local California guy named Gilberto Mendoza. So expecting a tough fight from him and just really looking forward to getting back in the ring and starting off this year and what I hope will be a very active year, and hopefully by the end of 2022, I have a world title back around my waist.
So I'm guessing this fight you're staying at the current weight class you're at right now. Is that the plan going forward, or are you now looking? Are you and your brother both looking, going, okay, you know what? We might start jumping up in weight classes, just because I'm guessing getting down to the weights you're at, both of you, that's not easy. I mean, it must be just a bitch to do.
Yeah, no. To be honest, I make the weight pretty comfortably these days. I've done it so many times now, and I really feel like we've really got it down to an art now, and I make the weight very comfortable. So that's not an issue for me. I plan on staying at super flyweight for the rest of my career and collecting as many belts as I can in that division.
We're going to go back to that fight in a bit. This fight been a bit. Take me back to your last fight, because I know you and I talked about it was return to home. You, Froylan Saludar, it was unanimous decision victory for you at the Star Event Center in Sydney. How nice was it, just after all these, literally the last 2 years, you've been away from home, fighting in Vegas, fighting in Tulsa. How nice was it, getting a chance to have a fight where you didn't have to fly all, halfway across the country. It was a hop, skip, and jump away, and there you are in front of your friends and family.
Yeah, no, that was really important for me to finish off that year with a really good win. I'd been sort of, a little bit inactive, and obviously had a bit of a bad run over that last sort of 18 months before that fight, with the two losses to Josh Franco and the no decision, which still haunts me to today. So it was really important for me to finish off that year with a big win and to put myself right back up the ratings to set up what I believe is going to be a very big year this year. So it was great to be able to fight at home again in front of my friends and family who hadn't seen me for such a long time.
How nice was that, having the friends and family, especially with everything that had gone on? And we've talked about ad nauseum with every fighter of COVID lockdown, no crowds, everybody wearing masks, everybody being quarantined. How nice was it, for that one moment, like, okay, this is normal. This is what it used to be back, before COVID hit. This is, fun.
Yeah, that's right. And I really enjoyed myself in that fight. It really, I had a lot of fun out there. There wasn't the stress of having to go away for, 9-10 weeks away from my family. I could just, fly to Sydney, show up, have a fight, which is what I love doing at the end of the day, and had a great win. And it was an excellent way to finish off the year. I fought only a few days before Christmas, so it was perfect timing to finish off the year on a high, enjoy Christmas with my family, and then get straight back into training in the new year to set up a big 2022.
Take me to the fight itself, because I'm watching some of the highlights. And how nice was it, as I said, getting back into the rhythm of, okay, I want to box. I just want to, go in there, not get dragged into phone booth fights, not get dragged into brawls. I'm just going to start boxing. And for all 12 rounds, it seems you did that. How nice was that, getting back into just your comfort zone?
Yeah, it was great. It was great to get in the ring again, because I'm in the gym all year round. I never have time off. I might have a few days off after a fight to let my body heal, and then I'm straight back in the gym, training, 6 days a week. So it's really important for me to fight because, I'm in the gym all year round, ready to fight. So it was great. I feel like I've learned a lot from that trilogy with Franco. So it was just great to get out there and put into practice what I've been doing in the gym. And even now, I feel like over the last few months, I've really developed a lot as a fighter. So that's what next Saturday night's about as well, going out there and showing everyone that I'm a much better fighter than what they saw in that trilogy with Franco, and making a statement in this fight to hopefully get myself a world title shot as soon as possible.
Take me to the second or third fights of the Franco in terms of just a mindset. I know the second fight you and I talked about, and everybody who I know who is watched that fight has said that should have been a win for you. Whether it's a knockout, whether it's a technical decision, that should have been a knockout. Why the hell was this a draw? Even to the point where you had people screaming at, the Vegas Commission who are more inept almost than our federal government, going, what the hell is going on? Between having to fight him 3 times in the United States, almost in his backyard, Vegas and Oklahoma City, how tough was it for you just mentally at times not getting overwhelmed, going, what the hell? Why am I bending over backwards? Why can't I get a fight at home? In Australia, hey, I've done this now twice for this kid. Third time around, you could have easily, come to Australia, Japan, Macau. We could have done something instead of me having to fly 3 times to the United States. And, oh, yeah, you just have to do a hop, skip, and jump drive.
Yeah. It would have been great to have at least one of those fights in Australia. We did plan to have the third fight in Australia, but it was the COVID restrictions in Australia that didn't allow us to do that. So that was out of our control. But it wasn't so much going to America that made it tough. It was very tough being away from my family for so long, but there's more the result of that second fight that still really, haunts me today. Like that, I think everyone that's seen that fight knows that I should have won that fight, and it would have been so special to overturn that loss from the first fight and would have become a 2-time world champion, which, would have been very special. But it's in the past now, so I've just got to use that as motivation and to push me to keep training harder and to make sure I get back to that position to become world champion again, so I can put all that behind me.
I know you're playing it off, but how much is it a frustration of traveling to the United States? I'm not saying, you think the U.S. is bad, but it's, as you said, you're a father of a young kid who's growing up, and you want to be there when, he takes his first steps. He says his first words. Hey, he's still understanding, okay, daddy's gone for a long time. And I've seen this with most fighters. You hit him in, broken rib, fractured bone in your hand, separated shoulder. Oh, that's a flesh wound. Away from your kids, is there crying on, Zoom time, and you're there. I've seen guys bawl like a baby. So for you, how tough are those weeks when it's like, you're going, oh crap, I'm missing my kid's maybe his first word. Oh crap, he probably said daddy the first time, and I missed that here. How frustrating is it when you have to travel to these places for fight camps, usually 2 or 3 weeks out, and for you, it's like, okay, 2 or 3 weeks out where I'm missing this or that for my kid, and I can't get it back.
Yeah, last year was very tough because, over the pandemic, I spent 8 months away from my son, which is a huge chunk out of his life. So that was definitely extremely tough. Thankfully, things now are getting back to normal. So this time we're only over here for roughly 2.5 weeks before the fight. And my son and my wife are actually coming over for the fight this time. So they're coming over a few days before the fight. So they're going to be there live, which is going to be great to have them there. And then my flight's only like 20 minutes from Disneyland. So I'm actually going to take my son to Disneyland for a few days after the fight and, have a really special time with him. So we're really looking forward to that. And then straight back home, straight back into training, because if all goes to plan, hopefully we'll be back in action only 8 weeks after that fight on the huge show that's going to be Kambosos Devin Haney in Australia on June 5th. So again, it's going to be very special to be fighting at home on such a huge show. But firstly, got to make sure I get the job done this coming Saturday.
It's, as I said before, as you mentioned before, it's going to be Kambosos versus Devin Haney. That's going to be all the way in Australia, June 5th. You now have, of course, Tim Tszyu, who he's now the mandatory for the winner of Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo here. You guys are the ones who started this whole thing, though, in terms of, you proved, okay, this the Australian boxing program, which in the last, let's say, decade plus, yeah, they start sinking more money into it. They start developing more fighters. Both of you guys came from that program. You've won, you and your brother have won world titles. Do you take sort of a pride in seeing, like, okay, now that next generation, the Haney's, I'm sorry, the Cambosos, the Zoos, the the Justin Hoonies, they're now coming up. They're now, getting that, breaking the next barrier. I mean, do you take pride in seeing all these other guys below you, getting these opportunities that you and your brother had to fight for, earlier on?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked at it like that, but I mean, I think Australian boxing is in just an amazing spot at the moment. We have so much talent and so many guys that have either, well, Cambosis has been undisputed champion, but so many guys also that are right on the verge of fighting for world titles. So, and there's probably 5 or 6 guys that are, sitting in that spot waiting to fight for world titles. We've got a world title fight in Australia with Jai Opataya as well. We saw Ebony Bridges just win a world title last weekend. My brother's got a world title eliminator coming up shortly. So we have 5 or 6 guys that could potentially be world champions in this year. And that would just be absolutely massive and unheard of to have that many champions coming from Australia. So no doubt it's a really exciting time, and we're just grateful to be a part of it all. And as you touched on, like, America still is the fight capital of the world. This is where all the big fights usually are. So we're grateful that we have the opportunity to fight here on a regular basis, and now a lot of Australians are following suit and coming over here for those big fights.
You mentioned before, you have a wife's coming over, the son's coming over, and he's at an age where it's easy to bring him over and he can do stuff here. Have you thought about relocating to the United States? Is that something that, you talk with your wife about, going, okay, look, all the major fights are here. It'd be easier, our son doesn't have, a lot of people he's going to miss yet, quote unquote. I mean, have you thought about moving to the United States just so, because right now, for you, that's where the majority of the big fights are, either in Vegas, Florida, California. I mean, have you thought about, relocating, or are you just going, Australia is my home, I'm never going to leave there?
No, I haven't. No, it's not. It's definitely not on the cards at the moment. I love Australia. I love where I live. I believe, the best team in the world, with my training team back home and my management and everything. Everything's perfect at the moment. And coming out here a few times a year to fight is easy enough done. We feel like this is our second home now. We're very comfortable here, but I still love Australia, and I don't feel the need to have to move here. The stable we have back home, we have so many guys around our weight in the gym. We get excellent sparring. I believe we have the best coaches in the world. So everything's perfect at the moment, and I've got no trouble coming out here a few times a year before a fight, especially now we don't have to do like hotel quarantine, and it's not such a big chunk of the year we're spending over here. It's just coming over here for 3 or 4 weeks for a fight and then going back home and getting back into training camp. So I think everything, the way we have things now, is perfect. I don't look to change anything at all at the moment.
We had on Arlene Blenko a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about speaking up at times about what's been going on. And in America, if you're any kind of celebrity, whether it's sports, music, acting, hell, you could be even a YouTube or, Instagram person, they'll speak out about everything, whether it's COVID, whether it's immunization, Will Smith. You put a microphone and go, oh yeah, I have an opinion here. You and your brother, and a lot of other Australian fighters stayed mum during everything that went on during, the COVID lockdowns in Australia and all that. Did you ever feel pressure to just say something, or is that just for you, not in your nature? That in your view, it's like, okay, I'm a fighter. Nobody wants to hear me talk politics. I'm just not gonna even get into it.
Yeah, no, I don't get into that side of things like politics and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I just focus on myself and doing what I've got to do. There's always going to be obstacles in the way that you got to move around, but we were so lucky throughout that whole COVID period where myself and Jason got to, even though we had to spend so much time away in hotel quarantine 3 times, and things like that. We were able to fight. We were in huge fights. We headlined big shows over here in America. So I was very grateful for the way things worked out for us during that period. So I couldn't complain and had nothing to complain about.
Was there ever pressure for you to speak? Because, I know you said you don't feel it's your place, but you are a celebrity. And as you've seen, people want celebrities to speak because they have large followings, whether it's social media, whether it's worldwide. You yourself are a former world champion. You're one of Australia's most, popular athletes. Do you ever sometimes feel pressure from people to say, hey, we want you to speak on this, or we want your opinion on this? And you're like, okay, I just am a fighter, but okay, I don't know why you want my opinion on this.
No, honestly, I didn't. It's just not my thing. I actually don't even really pay much attention to the politics and all that sort of stuff in the world. I just go about my day and do what I have to do and, and live my life. I really don't get too caught up in all that side of things. So honestly, my opinion wouldn't be worth mentioning because I don't spend any time researching it or looking into it or anything like that. I just go about my day. I eat, sleep, train, spend time with my family and do it all again. That's all I do.
Speaking of politics, we got to talk about this because this you do with the address. That's the boxing politics. Who is the target guy? Because I'm guessing in a perfect world to be you go, okay, you know what? Me, Roman Gonzalez, that's the gold 2020, 2022, 2023. But Roman's with the zone, you're with, ESPN Top Rank. That's going to be a pain in the rear end. I'm guessing even guys like Yerwin and Casas, who is with the PBC, that can be a bit tricky. I mean, how tough is it, focusing on who you want for a world title when it's sort of, okay, who can my promoter make a deal with and which network will allow me to fight on that network?
Yeah, there is always that side of things. But I'm just focusing on making sure that I stay in the gym, improve every day, and that when I get the opportunity to fight, that I put on my best performance to continue to climb the rankings, and hopefully I'll get myself into the mandatory spot where one of these champions has to fight me. But at the moment, I do have to be a little bit patient because the WBC and WBA belts are quite tied up at the moment. I was really hoping that I'd get the opportunity to fight WBO champion Kazuto Ioka because I thought that might be the easiest fight out of the bunch to make because of the things you mentioned. He's not locked in with a network, I don't believe, and he didn't seem to have a mandatory due. I'm now hearing he may be fighting Chocolatito next, so we'll have to wait and see how that all plans out. But at the moment, I'm just focusing on myself, making sure that I go out there next Saturday night and put on a really impressive performance to put the super flyweight division on notice and to put myself as one of the best super flyweights in the world so that the demand comes for one of these champions to fight me.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, he'll be April 9th only on ESPN and ESPN Deportes, ESPN Plus as well, at the Costa Mesa at the Orange County Fair and Event Center. I give you once again the monster himself. I give you it's Andrew Moloney. Andrew, before I let you go, where else can fans check you out at? Where is the Instagram, Twitter, website? And are there going to be any sponsors for this fight coming up on April 9th?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's support. You can follow me on all social medias at Andrew Moloney, Moloney spelled Moloney. You can also check out our website, tmoloney.com. And I'll give a shout out to our major sponsor, Forest One. They've been with us since the very start of our professional career, and they're the ones who have made us able to continue training full time, especially throughout these periods where we haven't been able to fight as much as we'd like. So a massive thank you to them.
Andrew Moloney, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always on a pleasure having on the show. We come back. Stay tuned for more great action coming up only on, it is Last Call. Last Call to the Alcohol only on the Last Call YouTube channel.